Your girl has some thoughts. All right, let's go. First up, let's talk about Ashley and Luke. I'm just going to go through each point as we go through. Let's talk about Ashley and Luke, and then I want to talk about Jason and Gizelle really quick, just to get the boring parts out of the way, and then we'll get to the juicy stuff. Number one, did you catch how Ashley said she had fallen in love with Luke, but then Luke was ghosting her? Ashley, please shut up. Please. And I feel really bad saying this, and I'm not like shaming or body shaming or anything like that, but Ashley looked really bad to me. And I'm not talking about like attractiveness. Like, she looked bad. Like, I don't know what was going on with like her wig. I don't know what was going on with like too much Botox in the head. Like, the eyes were really tied up, and it's just like, Ashley, you're in your 30s. You're young. Like, she looked a lot fresher on the show and watching the back clips. She looked very like old, very, very old. Like, the color of the wig, the cut of the wig, it wasn't it. I don't know what was going on, but she looked really bad to me. Anyway, Ashley, get your life together. I think that Ashley and Luke, that was just a PR stunt. Maybe Ashley messed around and caught some feelings, because I do think that they were sleeping together. But just because they're having sex doesn't mean they're in a legitimate relationship. And from what she said, it seems like he was pretty much ghosting her. So there's that. Now, this might be an unpopular opinion, but I'm just going to say what I think. This is just my opinion. Please still love me. Please still rock with me on this, okay? And put your opinion down below. Now, the whole thing around Jason and Gizelle. So I know, my candy canes, that you watch Summer House and you watch Winter House. We're going to do a Summer House and a Vanderpump Rules recap. I'm going to try and get it together for later today. Last night, actually, side note, check our community tab. Last night, I went to a really fun event with Lala Kent and Sheena Shea and Christina Kelly and Brock. It was for Lala's beauty company, Give Them Lala Beauty. And then it was also a viewing party. So I'll talk about it when we do our recap, but check out the community tab. I posted pics from last night. Anyway, let's get back to it. So Jason, he's black, and he is on Winter House. And now he is allegedly Gizelle's boy toy. This is where I might have an unpopular opinion, and I want you guys to still love me. I personally do not think Jason is checking for black women. And even though Gizelle is, green-eyed bandit, blonde hair, light skin, green eyes, she's still a black woman. And I just don't get in my gut that Jason goes for black women. And I'm going to tell you why. And I don't think it's a bad thing. People are allowed to date whoever they want to date. I'm not the type of person that's like, you can only date within your race. And I don't believe that. You can date a purple person, a pink person, a spotted person, a yellow person. I don't care. As long as it's consensual and everybody's an adult, I don't care. Love who you love. Knock yourself out. I just don't think he checks for black women. And I'm going to tell you why. When he came on the show, I forgot who he was a friend of, but when he came on the show, he was dating, or at least sleeping with, Lindsay Hubbard, who is a very pretty, blonde-haired, blue-eyed, white person, which is fine. They had a whole situation going on. They were hooking up and they were sleeping together, and she even ended up getting pregnant by him, and there was like a whole situation. We could talk about that when we do Summer House recaps and stuff. That was a whole situation. Then he comes back for another season, and he brings a woman, again, a very pretty girl, blonde-haired, blue-eyed Jessica. I personally cannot stand her, obviously not because of her race or anything like that, but because of her personality. She was extremely problematic. Again, we can get into that when we do like Summer House, Winter House recaps. I could not stand her, but she looked, exactly like Lindsay, very pretty, blonde, blue-eyed. Then after that doesn't work out, he goes for the very pretty Asian girl. I forgot what her name was, but I actually really liked her. She was really sweet, really nice. He went for her. I just don't get the feeling that he checks for black women. That's just a gut thing I feel. But, put it down. Let me know what you guys think. And that's not a criticism. That's not a judgment. I mean, I personally don't care. You date who you want to date. You have a type, you have a type. You don't have a type, you don't have a type. I don't care personally. So I'm not saying this in a negative way. I'm just saying I don't see Jason checking for Gizelle because I just don't see it. I don't see it. I think it's fake news. I think it's a bunch of BS. I don't buy it. When they did the selfies together and all of that, I was like, this isn't real. There's no chemistry. There was no sexual chemistry there. None at all. None at all. I just don't buy it. Also, I don't think that he's a guy that Gizelle would go for. And what I mean by that is Jason is a really great guy. He's very kind. He's very sweet. He's a really solid person. I don't think Gizelle is healthy enough mentally or emotionally and spiritually to be in any type of situationship or relationship with someone who is healthy. That's why she had Pastor Holy Whore. That's why she faked the relationship with him. That's why she was with, all of this stuff. I don't think that she's healed whatever demons or whatever trauma or whatever stuff she has going on to be in a place to attract a person who is like a decent guy. That's just my opinion. But put it down below. Let me know what you guys think, okay? Now, let's move on to Robin again telling on herself. Robin, I can't stand you. I know you're probably never going to listen to this, but I can't stand you because the entire time I was seething. Oh, and side note, this is just for fun. It's just a fun kiki. It's lighthearted. It's not serious. It's not deep. I had somebody email me, "You're being so mean." And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, we don't really know these people. B, it's just a fun kiki. So I just want to put the disclaimer out there. This is just fun. It's lighthearted. It's a fun kiki. Okay. Now let's get back to it because I can't stand Robin. Did you guys catch when she was talking about this marriage versus her last marriage? And she said, "Oh yeah, this one feels way more legit." Who in the world describes their marriages as legit unless they are not legit? That's not an adjective. That's not a description word that I particularly would use to describe any romantic relationship I've ever been in, whether they've worked out or not. Because legitimate to me seems, the opposite of legit to me is fake or a fraud. And that would never even pop in my head to describe a relationship I've had with someone, let alone a marriage. So you're basically saying that your first marriage was fake and this marriage is fake. This one seems way more legit. Girl, bye. And then, as we know, everything came out with all of the lies with Juan and his women, and quiet as kept, Robin with your men. I don't think Robin is sitting at home knitting, waiting for Juan to choose her. I think Robin is out there doing her. There has also been rumors about who she cheated with. Even before the show, word on the street is that Robin was cheating with the guy who lost all their money. And that she was also cheating in their marriage, but she likes to play the victim. And because our societal default is, oh, the man must be cheating and the woman must be at home forlorn, that's not always the case. She was cheating too. And it was rumored she had her own boyfriend over the pandemic. And he had his women over the pandemic. And you want to tell me your little fake and phony marriage you had with your kids, and two other people was real? Girl, bye. You said it yourself. Oh, this one seems more legit. As in less fraudulent? You told on yourself. Who uses those words? See, that's why over here we put on our candy cane critical thinking hats at all times, and we actually listen to what people say. Because if you just actually listen to what people say, they always tell on themselves. Always. It is human nature. We don't even mean to do it. It's a subconscious thing. But the truth always comes out in one way or another. And for her to say this one felt more, quote, legit, girl, bye. Miss me. Do we have to join your Patreon to get the real story? I'm not. I wouldn't spend a penny on them, not a penny. And that's why Eminem is stopping their trademark. I mean, that was a random note in this whole situation, right? So I guess word on the street is that Robin and Gizelle were trying to trademark Reasonably Shady because they probably did get a boost. I don't think anybody was really listening to their podcast or their Patreon. So they probably did get a boost given everything that's happened in the last couple of weeks with the woman coming forward, them going on the show, everybody being up in arms. I'm sure they got a boost. And now they're like, oh, let's trademark it. And Eminem was like, wait a minute, I've been Slim Shady for decades and I have Shady trademark. So no. So we'll see what happens in litigation with that. I personally, I'm with Eminem on this one. Also because I'm a writer and I really care about trademark and I care about intellectual property and I care about copyrights. I really care about that. So there's a part of me that's like, get him, Eminem, get him. But then there's the other part of me that's just like, there also needs to be like creative license and a little bit of leeway. Can you really own Shady? But then again, he does own it. So whatever. That's for the judge to decide. Team Eminem, though. All right, let's keep going. And put it down below. Let me know what you think about that. All right, up next, talk about Ashley. So Ashley, first of all, Ashley, I don't know who's styling you. I don't know if you are now being styled by Gizelle's stylist and hairstylist. If that's the case, you need to fire them quickly because Ashley, you looked a mess. You looked a mess. And she's young and she's fresh and her body's on point, a little too on point. Anyway, let me get off of her looks because I'm not trying to be that person. I'm not trying to body shame her. All right, let's get back to Ashley. So she got played by Michael in the prenup, which is very, very clear. And he never ended up signing the postnup. Now, Michael Darby is slick and sleek as hell. That wording in the prenup where anything that he had prior to the marriage was his, and then strategically using that money to invest in new stuff. So then anything, of like basically the fruit of that tree is his because he used the money that he had already gotten. That's really smart. I was shocked. And Ashley, you need to call Sutton from Beverly Hills. I was shocked when Ashley said she did not know what his true net worth was and like how much money he had or his assets. She just had like no idea. You need a forensic accountant. So you need to go ahead and call Sutton Strack over there in Beverly Hills. She could hook you up with one or a couple and get it together. I don't know I usually say ding dong for Dorit, but ding dong, Ashley, girl, what were you doing? You are distracted, being messy as hell, meddling in everybody else's life. Because Ashley is very, very messy. That you actually forgot to secure your own bag while you were busy worrying about everybody else's stuff. Girl, I hope for your sake the divorce is fake at this point. I really do, because it seems like Michael is going to keep you on a very tight budget. Very, very tighter than what it was when you were married. That is very clear. And the fact that you signed away alimony? What in the freaking world? Did you not have a lawyer to look at it? Did you not read it? Did you not understand it? If I was Ashley, this is what I would do. I would say I would plead the case, and I don't know if you can, but this is what I would say. I would be like, I had no idea what I was signing. I didn't understand it. This prenup cannot be legally binding. I didn't know what I was signing. I had no idea. I signed it under distress. I signed it when I was drunk. I don't know. I don't know what I was. That's what I would do. I would play dumb, stupid, everything. I have no idea what I was signing. We need to annul. We need to void. That's what I'm looking for. We need to void this prenup because I had no idea what I was signing. I signed it under stress and duress or something. I don't know if that's a legally viable claim, but I would try everything I could to get out of this. This is a hot mess. I feel like Michael Darby is living his best life. I feel like he knew exactly what he was doing. And I feel like Ashley really got screwed. really got screwed. Girl, get your life, girl. Call Sutton. She'll hook you up. She'll hook you up. But I will say this. I disagree with the narrative that Ashley had the kids to secure the bag. I actually don't think that. I think Ashley really was, and probably still is, in love with Michael. You know, she may have been working through some daddy issues through that relationship, but that's actually a very common thing. It's very Freud, you know, where you work through your problems like your mommy issues or your daddy issues with your romantic partner. That's a very common relational dynamic in people. So I'm not knocking her for that, you know, it's a very common thing. But I do think she really was in love with him, if she's not still in love with him. And I think that if he was willing to compromise, where I feel like Michael probably doesn't compromise on anything, I feel like it's his way or the highway, she probably still would want to stay married to him. And I think she had children with him because, you know, she was in her 30s. She wanted to have children. She's married. I think it's more genuine. Like, I don't think she just wanted to drop the kids to secure the bag. I don't think so. And to be honest, I think it was more of Michael unwillingness to really come together and have that cohesive family that she's been yearning for than Ashley saying, oh, the prenup, it's up. I have the 2 kids. Let me go out here and do it. You know what I mean? But let me know what you guys think. Put it down below. Now, let's go to Candace. Candy girl. Candy girl. I'm loving Candace, but I have a couple of places where I think she needs to be checked a little bit, okay? Overall, I love the growth for her. It looks amazing on her. She's mature. She's womaned up. She's evolved emotionally and mentally with her responses. I think she's come a long way, and I love to see it. However, Candace, boo-boo, you were a little bit delusional and you were a little bit in your feelings when you tried to make the analogy of your mother buying you a house versus somebody's husband buying them a house. What you talking about, Willis? It is a completely different situation to be a grown adult and have your mommy buy you a house versus being a grown adult and have your husband buy you a house for you and your children. It's apples to oranges, boo-boo. It's apples to oranges. You know, everyone just came after me. They were just so mean to me about, you know, me and my generational wealth. Shut up, Candace. Your mommy bought you a townhouse. Shut up. But I say that to say this. I also don't think there's anything wrong with that. I don't care if you're 5, 10, 15, 20, 50, 60. I don't care. If anybody in your life, your mother, your spouse, your best friend, whoever has the means and they want to buy you a house, buy you a car, give you some money, make your life easier, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. You know, I personally am not shading Candace because her mother helped her get a house. That's fantastic. That's great. I think we all should help family and friends if we can, if that's what our desire and you have the money and the means, knock yourself out. Go ahead. So I'm not in the camp of knocking Candace because her mom helped her out. Do that. But it's also a little bit delusional to compare the fact that your mommy bought you a house versus your husband buying you a house. Those are 2 very different things. Very, very, very different things. Your husband should buy you a house, especially with you and your children, where it's a nice to have if mommy buys you a house when you're in your 30s. You see what I'm saying? They're just apples to oranges. So Candace, you're very smart. We know you're a wordsmith, but your analogy was off on this one. You can't compare the 2. You can't. Mommy versus your husband, 2 different lanes. Both, I think, are equally valid, but you can't compare the 2 when it comes to saying who's a grown and this and that. So miss me with that one, Candace. All right. Now, let's also get into Ashley's PSA that Michael clearly made her say, okay? I remember when Ashley was up there and she's like, oh, side note, you guys, I just wanted to clear things up. When I was on the show dogging Michael out and saying our child was traumatized by our fights, I didn't mean it. Michael's an amazing father and we're co-parenting very well. Girl, you might as well said this is a paid ad by Michael Darby. Like, you know, him and his lawyers checked you all the way through and was like, listen, if you don't go clean it up and say Michael's a great dad, you're not going to get the little bit that we're willing to give you. You know, we might, make you pay this $13K mortgage on a house that you cannot afford on your own. And I don't mean that to be shady. What I'm saying is that I think that they probably use that as a bargaining chip and a bargaining tool to get Ashley to say and do what they want. Because again, I've always said this from the very, very beginning. Their plan did not work, but I think this is what their plan was. I think Ashley and Michael got together and said, hey, let's say we're separating. So Michael doesn't have to be on the show. That's a legitimate reason why he doesn't have to film. And then Ashley can keep her job on the show, have a little storyline, so she can keep her 15 minutes of fame. She can keep that little Bravo check. And Michael is no longer in the limelight and he can dip in and do it as he wants to. And then that they were going to do reputation rehab for Michael. And I'll tell you why I think this is true. Because remember in the very beginning of the season, when Ashley and her friend were talking about the whole statement that they put together, and it was like, oh, Michael's this and he's great. And, we've just amicably blah, 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 blah. But then it got leaked to the press before they did their joint statement or whatever it was, and how Michael was calling her and he was really pissed off. And then he started ignoring her. And she was like, I know. She's like, we had a whole strategy in place. And I think that's what the strategy was. And I bet it was, let's say we're separating, get Michael some reputation rehab, which is why now she has to do this PSA because it all backfired because the story was leaked and everything came out. He got pissed. And I think their fake strategy of separating turned into a real separation. Because now I'm thinking the divorce might really be real. But again, who knows? Until we get paperwork, who knows? Who really knows? But that's what I think their strategy was. Let's give Michael some space. Ashley can go on the show, do some reputation rehab, and then maybe next season, surprise, we reconciled, we're good. Michael's a great dad. He's a great business guy, blah, 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 blah. So who knows? But that's what happens when you play with your relationships, especially when you play with them for TV. When you play with your relationships, whether it's with your spouse, whether it's with your best friend, I'm looking at you, Mia and Jacqueline, what you put out that was fake sometimes quickly becomes all too real. And that's what happens when you out here be playing with people. Okay, now let's see here. So we did talk about Gizelle. This was really weird to me, and I want to know what you guys think. Put it down below. The way Gizelle was going after Mia seemed really off. Like, what was the point? And what I mean by that is when Mia was talking in circles about her finances and about Gordon being kicked off the family business, and now they're living on their savings. They were renting all of these places. Now they're just renting one place. He no longer has access to the company's funds and all of this stuff. I thought it was really weird. Actually, you know what? Never mind. I just answered my own question. Let me break it down. One, at first, I thought it was really weird that Gizelle was going after Mia so hard. Oh, is this embezzlement? It sounds like embezzlement to me, that they were going after the funds. Oh, and you were using social media to get ahead of it, all of the fraud and the embezzlement coming out, blah, 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 blah. Like, she was really going in on Mia more so than anybody else on the couch. She was really calling her to task. And I was like, this doesn't make any sense because Mia's literally been your mouthpiece this entire season. Mia turned her back on Wendy for Gizelle and Robin. Mia turned her back on Karen for Gizelle. Mia was going in on Karen at the finale and everything. And then Mia was also saying, oh, Karen was cheating, this, and this, and all of that stuff. Mia turned her back on Jacqueline to be friends with Gizelle and Robin. So Mia's really been a mouthpiece and has burned a lot of bridges in order to be a part of the Green Eyed Bandits crew. So I was like, why is Gizelle going so hard for her when she's really been her mouthpiece? And then I was like, oh, that's right. It's what we've always been saying. And I don't want to get on to the topic, but I'm going to because it kind of makes sense with this. Like I was saying with the whole colorism issue, because as you guys know, I personally don't think it's colorism on the show. I think it's bitter. I think it's bitter Betty syndrome. I think it's miserable Mary syndrome. I don't think it's colorism. And then I was like, oh, now I get it. Now it's coming to fruition what we've been saying. Once they go through the line of who they want to target, who they like the least, it's not so much that Gizelle and Robin ever really liked Mia, it's that they were able to use Mia to go after Wendy, to go after Karen for a storyline with her versus Jacqueline because Mia was being such a pygmy. But now that they know they can't go after Wendy because Wendy's going to stand up to them, Wendy really had a boost this season. Unfortunately, it came because she was attacked. Unfortunately, that's what it took to kind of be more invested in Wendy's story. They know that going after Chris and Candace was a complete flop. That's why Gizelle was up there being like, oh, he admitted it. Now we're done, blah, blah, blah. And Andy was just like, no, he said, if, not that I did. There was no admission, but Gizelle knew that the goose was cooked. And so she wanted to end the conversation as quickly as possible because she knew she was being found out. So the whole Chris and Candace story blew up in her face. So who's the next target down the line? It's Mia. It's Mia. And I was like, and it's already starting now. Now it's already starting. So I do think that if Mia comes back next season, and if Gizelle and Robin are there, she's going to be a target, depending on the other dynamics. It's playing out exactly like we said. It's not that they like Mia because, she's light-skinned. No, not at all. It's just that they were able to use Mia. And now that they need a new target, they're like, well, let's go after Mia because we never really liked her in the first place. And now it's all coming to fruition. We are so smart over here with the Candy Cane crew. Let's get back to Gizelle real quick. Gizelle. It blows my mind how Gizelle was coming so hard for Mia because Mia was being messy, wackadoodle Mia on social media about cancer and lumps and plumps and rashes and this, that, and the third. I still don't think Mia was trying to lie about having cancer. I just think Mia is a little loopy and doopy. I think she was oversharing. I think she was doing the most. I think she was being very dramatic. But I don't think that her intention was, let me lie about having cancer. Like, I don't think that tracks. I think Mia was just being dramatic and messy, as she usually is, and a little loopy. But remember how hard Gizelle and Robin came for her at the beginning of the season about this. Oh, you're lying about cancer on social media, to the point where Robin was about to throw hands on Robin and Charisse had to hold her back. But then lo and behold, true to form, Gizelle is actually sitting on her own bigger story, which is confirmed health diagnosis. That her fibroids are out of control, that she does have to get a hysterectomy, which I believe is when they remove the uterus. I'm not a doctor, so check me on these on these details if I misspeak, okay? So she got the hysterectomy, which is like removing of the uterus to get rid of the fibroids. She was sitting on a very relatable, very relevant, very humanizing, genuine, authentic story about her own health that she could have actually talked about more than just in a 2-minute at the very end of the show, very end of the season, 2-minute segment where she's talking to her daughters about it. What the hell, Gizelle? You went through this entire season and you thought it wasn't okay. You didn't feel the need to talk about the fact that you were going through a very big, heavy medical thing. And if you actually would have told your story, maybe you could have helped a lot of other women who are going through the same thing or have gone through the same thing or unfortunately will go through the same thing. But yet you thought the best course of action was to call Mia a liar, saying she's lying on social media about cancer. When you are sitting up here, literally about to go under the knife because of your own health stuff. Now, I will say this. I don't agree with Candace when she says you're dwindling uterus. I think that's what she said. Like, Candace, don't regress, Candace, because you've come so far and you're on the side of right. Candace, what you're saying is right. Just check how you say it. Because even though I'm reading Gizelle, I'm not going to call her dwindling uterus and all of that. No, 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 no. No, absolutely not. We're not going after a woman's reproductive organs and, issues like that. We're not doing that, you know. Again, I don't think that Giselle's looking to have children, but like fertility and just, feeling whole, as a woman. Like, I'm not going to go that. To me, no, that's not what I'm saying. I'm not trying to shame her for any of that. I'm just calling out, again, the hypocrisy of it all. How Gizelle and Robin, each of them at this point now have been exposed for sitting on genuine storylines in their own life that they failed to address and bring to the show, yet they want to attack and lie and attack and a lie and attack and a lie on everybody else's situation. Because what was Giselle's storyline this season other than lying on Chris Bassett? What was it? She could have brought us in her entire situation. She could have brought us in, the way Portia did. I think Portia had fibroids, right? Portia brought us into that. I think other women have had it. She could have brought us in on that journey. What does it feel like to be a woman knowing that you have to get a hysterectomy? What did it feel like to, talk to your children about it other than that 2-second little thing that we had at the very, very end of the entire season? Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Gizelle, please shut up. And also, Gizelle, you could tell she felt very guilty when talking about the Chris Bassett stuff, but her lack of emotional intelligence, her lack of being able to truly feel empathetic, because I think she felt more guilty that she was being called out, less than for what she actually did. You could tell she was trying to cut off the conversation. Oh no, he said, if you made me feel uncomfortable, I apologize. I got the apology. Let's go. It's over. And it's just like, whoa, 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 whoa. He didn't admit anything. And this isn't over. This is a much bigger conversation. And I'm happy that Candace checked her and said, yeah, he sent that text when we wrapped, which was prior to actually seeing the entire footage, i.e. all of the lies and everything that you said. And Gizelle got called all the way out. All the way out, okay? Now let's keep going. And in Mia's defense, do I think that Mia was being 100% honest about what happened with Gordon and the finances of the companies? No, but I also don't think Mia 100% actually understands what happened with Gordon and the company and the finances, if that makes sense. I don't think Mia herself 100% gets what happened, if that makes sense. So she's trying to explain to me. This is what it feels like with Mia. It feels like Mia is trying to explain something that she herself does not understand. And that's why she talks in loops and circles and backtracks and flip-flops, all of that. I don't think that she's actually trying to lie. I just don't think she gets it herself. Do you know what I mean? I couldn't sit here and explain to you, rocket science, because I'm not a rocket scientist. That's kind of how it seems like Mia is. She's trying to explain things that she herself doesn't get. And their narrative of, oh, you're a CEO, I thought he was this, how can you get fired from your company? That is actually a very false narrative. A lot of CEOs get fired from their own companies. Steve Jobs, arguably one of the most innovative people in what century are we in? We're in the 21st, right? Are we in the 21st or the 22nd? Anyway, let's say the 21st. And the 21st century, if you're watching this on an iPhone or on a MacBook or whatever the case may be, he was fired from the company that he founded. Steve Jobs was fired from Apple, and he founded the company himself. And then when they realized they needed him, they had to hire him back to his own company. So the whole narrative of how did they fire a CEO of their own company doesn't make sense. To me, again, it seems like people who don't actually understand business. You could be the CEO, you could be a founder of a company, but if you don't have the votes from the executive board, they can oust you. Happens all the time. So I agree with what Mia was saying there. I think they ousted him. I still don't think she 100% fully understands everything going on, but you can easily be ousted from a company as a CEO if you don't have the votes. Point blank. Like, even if you don't have, you could even not have investor votes. If the investors have a certain percentage or a stake in the company, they could oust you. So that is true. This is what I think happened. I think that maybe Gordon was double dipping in the company funds, at least allegedly. And I think once they went on the show and Mia was pulling her Erica Jane moment, oh, I make $40K a month. You know, Erica Jane was like, oh, my glam is $30K, whatever the hell she said. She was having her Erica Jane moment. Oh, I make $40K a month and we have this and we have that. And I bet you everybody at the companies were like, what? Hold up. So is that where all of our money is going? And then they froze him out. That's what I think happened. That's why he no longer has access to the company accounts. That's why he no longer has, authority at the stuff. They probably were willing to turn a blind eye to it when it was just the day-to-day. A lot of companies operate that way. They just kind of turned a blind eye to what the CEO or the founders are doing. But I think when they put it on TV, they got humbled real quick. They got humbled real quick. When you put that stuff on TV, it changes up. It switches up. Okay. Now let's get to yes, definitely Team Candace and Chris. And I have to say, I was pleasantly surprised with how Wendy and Candace stayed on Gizelle's neck about her systematically going after families, going after husbands and significant others, and going after relationships and marriages. It's about freaking time. They were doing the job that Andy Cohen should have done. Andy Cohen should have been the one who connected all of the dots and was calling Gizelle to task. But since Andy Cohen couldn't do it, I'm really happy Candace and Wendy did. They are finally calling her out on the platform. We've been doing it for years, and on our platforms and our forums, but I'm really excited and pleasantly surprised that she got called out to her face on the reunion. To be honest, this reunion was better than what I thought it was going to be. It was better than what I thought it was going to be. And I get that, Bravo, Bravo's doing their best. They're doing their best. They had that little promo in the beginning, about, the Reasonably Shady podcast and Juan and Robin, and 2 weeks later, and then they're going to insert some stuff about, Andy's sit down with Robin. But from all of the clips they're showing of Andy's sit down with Robin, I'm still like, you're not asking the real question. And to me, this is the only real question that I need Andy to ask Robin. And it's not, is Juan lying to you? The question is, Robin, are you lying to us? That's the question. Because I feel like with the sit down, it's only going to be about, oh, Robin is delusional. She's believing Juan's lie. Are you tired of defending Juan? Juan fed you this story about this woman. First of all, Juan is not a Real Housewives of Potomac housewife. He's barely a husband of. Okay? So the person that needs to be called to task is Robin, not Juan. And the question is, Robin, are you lying to us? And if so, about what? And most importantly, for how long? Because I think, Robin, you've been sitting up here and playing in our faces since day one. This situation is a culmination of all of your lies. It is not an isolated situation. It's not like you and Juan really were working on your relationship and you really wanted to come together and you love each other and you found love again a second time around and oops, he had this hiccup. No, no. I think you've been lying the entire time. Those are the questions I want answered. You know, I would be like, hey, the woman said that Juan told her the relationship is for TV. Is that true or false? Yes or no? Yes or no questions. Not this wordsmithing BS that fumbling over your words that you're trying to do. Yes or no questions. Yes or no? Is it for TV? Yes or no? Are you and Juan legally married? If so, can we see the paperwork? Yes or no? Are you currently sleeping with and dating other men or whatever? Yes or no? Did you initially cheat in your marriage the first time around with Juan? And if not initially, did you ever cheat within your marriage? Yes or no? Like, I need all of the answers because I feel like Gizelle and Robin got together from day one. That's why they're thick as thieves, to lie and deny about their own lives and to target other people. They've never been transparent. They've never been forthcoming. They've never been that interesting, to be honest. And I think that they've been lying since day one. Since day one. That's why they really need to be fired. And another reason why they need to be fired is because they systematically go after other people. If we are going to fire Lisa Rinna, as she should have been fired, then we need to also fire, in my personal opinion, Gizelle and Robin. And I'm going to tell you why. Because if we're being honest, Lisa Rinna did not get fired because she lied about her own life. Lisa Rinna got fired because she systematically targeted and went after, in order to destroy and take down, other women season after season after season after season. How is that any different from the exact behavior between Gizelle and Robin? Because I know some people out there, oh, Robin just lied about herself. It's okay. She doesn't have to talk about herself, blah, 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 blah. I don't agree with that. But if we're going there, we need to hold them to the same standard. Okay, fine. We're not going to fire you for lying about your own life, even though you're on a reality show getting paid to share your life. Make that make sense. But we're going to fire you because for the last 7 years, 7 seasons, whatever the case may be, you have systematically targeted other women and their husbands and their families in order to actually take them down. And Robin, these are your own words. You literally said on Watch What Happens Live, oh, was I supposed to raise my hand and say, let me be the target? So if you view yourself as a target for being honest about your life, that means you view the other women as what? Targets. We already knew you did this. And by you, I mean the group of women collectively. We already knew that. We already knew that they got together to create the storylines and who they're going to target, but you've also now told on yourself. It's like I said at the very beginning of this live. If you actually just listen to what people say, they always tell on themselves. So if you consider yourself a target, that means you consider me and everybody else out here a target. And that's why you chose that word. Anyway, okay. I think that was all of the notes I had on it. But I'm looking forward to part 2. And I actually didn't think I was going to be. I didn't watch it for a couple of days because I was like, oh, this boring stuff. But I actually think there's a lot of good juice here. I think there's a lot of good juice, a lot coming to light. I'm very interested to see part 2. Candace, I know you've already shot the reunion, but my hope for Candace is you are on the side of right here. You're on the side of right. They did you dirty. They did your husband horribly. You're on the side of right. Just be careful when you tread on the whole dwindling uterus stuff because you don't know who you really could be affecting I get you're coming after Gizelle. I get it. Just be very, very careful with that particular talk. Go for her neck, go for her ankles, go for it all day. Just be a little careful there. And I'm excited to see what that tussle will be between Candace and Gizelle. I'm also interested to see Chris Bassett. I want to see him go against Gizelle. I want to see what that's going to look like. And I also want to check for Gordon and Mia's interaction and energy, because apparently there might be trouble in paradise between their marriage. I hope not, but I'm also petty. So, and that's just me, not in all things, but in some things. And I'm self-aware enough to know what I'm petty about. And if I were Gordon, and if the reason why I am kicked out of my own company, if the reason why I am now frozen out of business accounts, and like Mia said, I am surviving on my savings, and I've had to shut down all of these other houses and things and this, that, and the third that I had going on, a complete lifestyle change because my wife wanted to be on a reality TV show and run her mouth, I would feel some type of way. But that's me. I don't know if I could get past it. I would have been like, ding dong, divorce, bye-bye. But that's just me, because sometimes I'm petty like that. It would piss me off. It would piss me off. It would. It would piss me off. It would just be no. I'd be like, wait a minute. Now I'm kicked out of my own company, and you're putting our finances on blast on social media and on a show. Now I'm living off of savings because you wanted to get on TV and talk about this being a CEO and getting $40K a month, this, that, and the third. Now my whole situation is effed up. No, I'm on my petty. I couldn't do it. That's why I never believed Juan and Robin. Because if I was Juan, I would be on some extra petty-ish. Like God would have to really, really work on me. But if I was Juan and somebody scammed all of my money, no, God would have to work on me with that. But I'm self-aware. I know myself. And I'm very honest. I would be too petty. I wouldn't go high. I would go all the way down to hell. But that's just me. But put it down below. Let me know what you guys think. Oh, that's also a very good point too. I'm also interested to see Jacqueline versus Mia. It kind of breaks my heart though, because I do feel like, even though it was very codependent, I do feel like Mia and Jacqueline had a really great relationship, like a true friendship, you know? And it kind of breaks my heart that they let Gizelle get in the middle of them. I know I blame Gizelle for everything, but it's because it's always her fault. If you actually watch the season, Gizelle divided and conquered. She would get Mia alone and drunk, talk about her sexcapades. Then she would get Jacqueline alone and be like, oh, well, you and Gordon, Mia never invited you. You never said, oh, pick me to join. Really? And then she'd go back to Mia. Oh, Jacqueline said this and this said this and blah, 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 and da, 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 da. And it worked. It worked like a charm. You know, Gizelle knows how to be the mean girl in high school to get all the other people fighting. And then she sits back and likes it and likes to watch. It's like her entertainment. And they fell for it, hook, line, and sinker. Jacqueline fell for it and Mia fell for it. And now Mia and Jacqueline are fighting while Gizelle is over there now talking about, oh, were you and your husband embezzling Mia? When I thought you and Mia were supposed to be friends, right? That you had her back all season, right? But it always comes to fruition. It always comes to fruition, what we say. But put it down below. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you think about the reunion. Are you looking forward to part 2? What do you think is going to come out? And what do you think about all of the ladies? And stick around, my candy canes, because I'm going to drop the link in case anybody wants to come up. And then I'll also go through some of your candy cane questions and comments for a little bit. But before we do that, you know what to do. Go ahead and like this video, subscribe to my channel, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss it when we go live. Also, be sure to share this with a friend because the key is always better with community. Check out our description box down below and join our newsletter. It is free. And check out all of our self-care and self-love content. So with that, let me drop the link in case anybody wants to come up. And then I'm also going to go over some of your candy cane questions and comments. Now, with the comments,